A recent report that came out just took away a bunch of the leverage that Montreal had in whatever Sean Monahan trade might be to come, and the report also indicates that Monahan could be one of the first forwards on the move at the trade deadline. This is a huge report that we got to break down, but before that, we also got to talk about a trade that the Montreal Canadiens made today and how it could open up room for more trades coming in the next few weeks. And unfortunately, we also got to talk about this Habs-Sharks game, all on this episode of Habs Digest. We'll just open up with the Habs-Sharks game. Don't know how long we're going to spend on this because, look, when you lose to the worst team in the NHL, when you lose to a team that hasn't won in a month, that's right, December 12th was the last time the San Jose Sharks won a game before tonight. I'll toss at the box score. Feel free to pause if you want. Just brutal. Gallagher scored a nice goal. Matheson scored. They pulled the goalie with like 5 minutes left, as you can see by Monty's ice time, who had another good game, by the way, 914 save percentage. Caufield had like one shot before that final pulled goalie stretch. He ended with 7. But Jesse, it just felt like, yeah, that energy was there at the end, but I just felt like it was missing for so much of the rest of the game. There was maybe a couple little spurts, some breakaways, but like against a team like the Sharks, this is a team that you're supposed to build momentum against, not have every bit of momentum sucked out of you.
Yeah, we played to our competition tonight, just not in a good way. And we really lost our identity tonight of kind of playing like that up-tempo, north-south kind of character with a little bit of grit hockey that Martin St. Louis likes us to play so much, you know? So kind of disappointing that we weren't able to really kind of have that solid effort tonight, you know? It seemed like we're kind of just lacking a little bit of that confidence to just really kind of move the puck up the ice, those kind of north-south plays, just making those simple sort of kind of plays, get the puck up the ice. That's when Montreal plays the best, you know, and that's been a part of their system for long enough now. And we were just kind of getting away from that, you know, which was really unfortunate to see again, you know, on the second night of a back-to-back. But, you know, the Sharks coming in this game, having not won a game their last 12, we really feel like, you know, we should have won this one. Again, we're right there to the end, you know, common thread of we somehow find a way, even though we lost, to be competitive in this. But, you know, definitely not our most impressive outing tonight.
No, and again, there were some shining lights. Again, obviously, cool to see Gallagher score. That was awesome. His little slot one-timer was perfect. Awesome to see. Also, I'd like to see Slafkovsky out there for almost that entire empty net sequence from the moment they pulled the goalie with about 5 minutes left or so. The Habs just were hemming the Sharks in their own zone for like 3 whole minutes until Matheson scored. Slav was out there the whole time, and he was right back out there afterwards. But he ended the game with 1 shot. And there was another common theme of Mike Matheson taking point shot. Yes, he scored. I understand he scored. It was point shot after point shot after point shot after point shot with no pass to Slafkovsky. And as Hockey Junkie put it, you guys love Hockey Junkie, we do too. He tweeted this during that sequence. If Slafkovsky had a newborn baby and let Matheson hold it, I doubt Matheson would even pass it back. Shout out to you, Matt. That was absolutely hilarious. Kind of a thing. I don't want to harp on Mike Matheson, Jesse, because he's straight up one of the Habs' best players, right? Like, he just is. He's awesome. However, this is a thread a common thread that we're seeing all the time. There's got to be a reason for it. It feels like he's one of the only people to do it, but at the same time, like, Slav got a couple one-timers from other players in that final stretch. Yeah, he missed the net on it, but they were hard shots that were very close. I feel like a couple more shots just to get this guy's confidence rolling could really do him some favors.
Is there a Matheson and Slafkovsky beef? No, we're just joking, of course, but like this is a common thing where it's been going on. Like if it would have just been one game where it's like, okay, Matheson isn't passing, like we can write that off. But it's just like a common thing, and we've been noticing it. You know, fans of the channel have been noticing, have been kind of commenting on that as well. Like, why isn't Matheson passing Slafkovsky? For sure, that was the play on the empty net where they were allowing for that shot. But you could argue Slafkovsky, I felt, even though he kind of missed the net on the empty netter, he was our most dangerous option in a lot of ways, right? Like on the power play, he could be so much better served. This guy has an amazing shot, right? You have to feel like maybe that could help open some things up for Caufield by just having another lane for our shots to kind of really come through, right? So again, you definitely just want to see it. We're just bringing this up because we just want to change. We like Matheson. We like your Slafkovsky. We want them to work together. They're teammates, right? So just get a couple more passes, a couple more one-timers. Slafkovsky, he's the number one guy, number one draft pick for a reason. You got to feed a pick like that.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, you're very right. If he can prove himself as a legit threat on the opposite side, it can help out Caufield so teams don't overload on him. Yeah, obviously love them both. Hope they can start working together because it could be really, really dangerous. But we got to move on to something. The Habs made a bit of a trade today, and it was extremely minor. But there were some people talking about how this might not be as minor as it seems. Now, when you look at what I'm about to show you, you're going to think, why are we even talking about this? Well, there's a few reasons. the Habs traded for Filip Sederqvist, and they traded away future considerations. Really, real shame for future considerations. I don't think he's been able to stick on a single team for his whole career. It's really awful. Sorry to hear that. But Filip Sederqvist, he is, the Habs needed another Filip in the system. He's a 6'3", 23-year-old forward who had 4 points in 19 games for the Rochester Americans so far this season. He's not an impact player, not in the NHL level. He's like sort of a depth AHL guy at this stage. But from what I've heard and from what I've read, Sederqvist was planning to return to, I believe, Sweden at the end of the season, and he informed Buffalo, I'm not going to be back. So Montreal said, well, hey, we could use some forward depth. Let's go get Filip Sederqvist. And I know there have been injuries, Jesse, but Laval has not necessarily lacked a ton of forward depth this year. So I found this move to be, it just makes sense. You get some Laval depth, it's never a bad thing. But I saw some people talking about how if you're maybe trying to bolster Laval's depth, does that mean an NHL trade is coming where you might have to call one or two guys up? Like you keep Heineman up for a longer period of time. By the way, we didn't talk about Harvey Pinard being back. Shut up, Harvey Pinard. He's back now. Anyway, Heineman coming up. You might have Watt coming up, something like that. What do you think? Do you think this is just something super minor? Or do you think there maybe could be something bigger at play?
Absolutely. There's probably something bigger at play because we know that Kent Hughes is always thinking ahead. These kind of depth moves that he does that kind of seems like not much. We've seen in retrospect, like with the acquisition of Gustav Lindstrom, there's been a greater play and these players end up kind of very much being important. Kent Hughes doesn't do any type of moves for any sort of reason whatsoever. Now we know there's definitely been some injuries for the Laval Rocket. The fact that they're kind of trying to make more of a playoff push right now. These are all factors that probably play into this as well. But, definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, I know Sean Farrell's out for a bunch of time now, and there's multiple guys who are going to miss a number of weeks. So realistically, it's probably just a depth move to fill in some injured guys. But it's always fun to speculate, especially when you get news like this. And you guys knew we had to talk about this. And it's this Sean Monahan thing. Now, Darren Dreger on Insider Trading said something that, honestly, Jesse, I don't think we were very happy when we heard this. I mean, look, we both like Monahan. We think there's a possibility for him to stick around. But at the end of the day, I mean, I know myself more than you have said maybe if we get really good value, I think trading him is probably a good idea. But Dreger said this. He said, you got to go back to the offseason. When the Canadiens signed Monahan, they had an agreement at that point that said, we will trade you when the time is right to a contending team or to a team of your choice. Nothing has changed there. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Sean Monahan is amongst the first forwards to get dealt before the deadline. Now, we talked about this and how that almost takes away so much leverage from the Habs. I don't remember this being said when he first signed. I could be misremembering. Let us know down below if we're forgetting something. But at the same time, to have this leak now just before not leak, I guess, but to remind people at the very least, just before the trade deadline that, oh yeah, Monahan's just going to go wherever he wants to go. So, I don't know. I feel like it kind of hurts the Habs' chances, and it also makes it feel like a Monahan deal is essentially done. There's no chance he sticks around.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about this because definitely it kind of lowers his value if you feel like Montreal has no intention of trying to resign them and maybe feels like teams could offer a little bit less to get him. So we know that sometimes there's reports that get out there to kind of affect the market. I'm wondering if this is kind of one of those again, right? Just for it to kind of come out this time. This report in no way benefits the Montreal Canadiens in terms of their negotiations. You have to feel like the Leafs are going to try and offer a 6th-round pick right now for Mathis or
for try.
For Monahan as well there. But to be honest, speaking on that point, I don't think that Kent Hughes is going to trade Sean Monahan for anything else other than a 1st-round pick. Mm-hmm. Now, we know that last year it was revealed that was the price for him before he got injured.
Yeah.
Now with Sean Monahan having a productive season, being healthy, which was the big question, and being a top 10 faceoff guy in the NHL, I don't see why his value would go down any.
No, he is so valuable. I mean, you see this with the net empty. Who's taking the faceoffs? It's not Suzuki, who's had such a good year on the faceoff dot. It's Monahan every time. Key defensive zone draws, it's Monahan or Evans. It's always these guys, depending on the strong side, because obviously they have different handedness, but Monahan is always there. He's out there with the net when the net's empty. He's out there on the power play. He's taking these crucial draws. Even if the point production hasn't been as high as he would have liked lately, as compared to earlier in the season, he's such an impact player. He can fit with any team. Jesse, and I think a lot of people are saying, oh, yeah, you won't get a first for Monahan. Again, I think a contending team would very well dangle a first for Sean Monahan, especially if they know it's going to be a late first and they want to make a playoff push. I think there's a real chance. And at this point, do you do you think the odds of the Habs keeping Sean Monahan have gone down? Or do you think that at this point it's just like, or do you think that there's still a chance maybe the Kent Hughes can resign?
I think this has all been contingent really on Sean Monahan from the beginning in terms of what he wants to resign for. Like if he wants, for his next contract to be a really long-term one, of course, I don't think that that's going to fit, the Habs long-term vision. So it makes sense for them to trade him at the deadline, even though he's a really valuable player. But let's say Sean Monahan says, you know what, I've had a really great time in Montreal here. I like how you guys, really kind of supported me, maybe when another team kind of gave up on me. I'm willing to sign a 2-year deal. I think that Kent Hughes is happy with that. I think as Habs fans, we're happy with that. Now, that's all up for Sean Monahan. Whether he wants to take a 2-year deal after he's kind of shown that he's a productive player and probably could get longer term out on the market, who's to say? Maybe he really likes the culture. Maybe he likes playing a lot for Martin St. Louis. I could definitely see that being the case. And, if he does want to stay on that shorter term deal, I think that would definitely be the sweet spot there.
Maybe the Habs have some of the best toast of all the toast in the NHL. We know he's a big toast guy. So you never know what's going to happen with Sean Monahan. But let us know down below. What do you think of this? Were you happy with this Dreger tweet? Do you think that hurts the Habs in any way? We'd love to hear from you in the comments. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're going for 15K. That's the next big goal, and we'd really, really appreciate it if you guys could help us out with that. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.